Most men chase women because they think that's what they're supposed to do. But what if I told you that by flipping the script, by understanding just a few psychological triggers, she'll be the one thinking about you, dreaming about you, and craving your attention without even realizing why? Let's begin with something subtle, something so powerful that it bypasses her logical mind and goes straight to her emotional core. The first hack is this: strategic ambiguity. This isn't about playing games. It's about creating emotional tension, and tension creates desire. When you're too available, too predictable, too clear, she relaxes. Her mind stops racing. But when there's mystery, when she doesn't quite know where she stands with you, her brain fills in the gap, and that's where you live, in her thoughts. Strauss talked about this in The Game. Mystery, his mentor, mastered this art. When a man becomes slightly unpredictable, not in a chaotic way, but in a measured, confident way, the woman's subconscious shifts from "he's nice" to "what's his deal?" Imagine this. You go on a date. It went well. You text her the next day, "had a good time." That's average, that's safe, that's forgettable. Instead, what if you waited? Not out of insecurity, but out of intention. And then, 2 days later, you send a voice note, not a text. It's short, warm, but slightly vague. That was something. That's it. You leave a question mark. She feels something. She replays it. She starts crafting her own meaning. And in that space of uncertainty, she chases. Because people want to resolve what's incomplete. And a man who knows how to not explain everything instantly becomes irresistible. But there's more to it. You can't be mysterious and needy. That's the trap. Strategic ambiguity only works if it's backed by self-control and a sense of purpose. You must actually have something better to do than to obsessively respond. You must actually be pursuing your mission. This brings us to hack number 2, the power of selective attention. Most guys think giving her all their attention is the way to win her over. Big mistake. Women don't want to be the center of your universe, not right away. They want to earn your full attention. That's how value is created. Here's what most men don't understand. Women are emotional investors. They want to feel like they discovered you, like they unlocked a part of you others can't access. If you give everything up front, there's no journey, no tension, no conquest. And without conquest, there's no seduction. So what do? You recognize her, but you don't over-validate her. You listen to her stories, but you don't always agree. You compliment her, but selectively. You direct the conversation toward meaningful topics, but you don't go too deep too fast. You drop hints of your passions, your ambitions, your principles, but you never spill it all at once. It's like a trailer to a movie. You show just enough to provoke curiosity, but never the whole plot. A woman starts to chase not when you ignore her, but when she feels that your attention is earned, that it's not something you just give to anyone. When she senses that your energy is valuable and limited, she wants more of it. That's basic psychology. We chase what's scarce. And here's the twist. She'll start performing for you. Not in an obvious way, but in subtle shifts. Texting first, asking deeper questions, seeking your validation in small ways. That's when you know she's in the game. That's when you shift from being the pursuer to being the prize. You know what most men overlook completely? The emotional rhythm of a woman. While men tend to think linearly, cause and effect, women experience emotions like waves. They come and go in unpredictable patterns. So, if you know how to ride that emotional wave, not fight it, not resist it, but surf it with elegance, you become unforgettable. This is where the third psychological hack comes in, using emotional contrast. Emotional contrast is the art of making her feel different emotions, naturally and subtly, in your presence. Not manipulating, not faking, but creating a dynamic where your energy is not always the same. Sometimes playful, sometimes grounded, sometimes intense, sometimes calm. This contrast activates her senses. It keeps her emotionally stimulated. And when a woman is emotionally stimulated by you, she forms an attachment. She starts linking her moods, her excitement, her emotional highs to you. Think about a roller coaster. Why do people ride it again and again, even though it's predictable after a while? Because the shifts, the buildup, the drop, the unexpected turns create adrenaline, excitement, and memory. The same thing happens in attraction. If every time you're with her, the vibe is flat and nice, there's no memory imprint. But if you can tease her playfully one moment, then share a deep, vulnerable truth the next, and later go quiet while holding eye contact, you've created contrast. Her brain lights up, her heart gets curious, and her body leans in. This technique is especially powerful when combined with presence. Most guys are not fully present with women. They're distracted, thinking about what to say next, worried about how they're being perceived. That's weak energy. When you're centered, when you pause before answering, when your eye contact is solid but relaxed, when your touch is slow and intentional, she feels something primal. She feels led. And that contrast between comfort and unpredictability, between security and excitement, that's what hooks her emotionally. Now here comes the fourth hack. And this one is counterintuitive for most men. It's mastering the power of absence. You want her to think about you? Then you have to give her the space to miss you. This doesn't mean ghosting her or playing hard to get. It means disappearing with purpose. When you've created an emotional impression, when you've sparked desire, shared a strong connection, or even had a magnetic moment, step back. Go quiet for a bit. Let the silence do the work. Why does this work? Because in silence, the mind fills in the blanks. If she felt something real with you, even if it was brief, your absence becomes amplified. Her thoughts return to that experience. She wonders why you're not chasing. She starts checking her phone. She replays conversations. She looks for signs. And in doing so, she invests emotionally, without you doing anything. That emotional investment is critical. It flips the dynamic. Most guys smother the moment. They try to maintain control by staying in her inbox, keeping her attention. But attention earned through pressure is weak. Attention earned through mystery, emotional depth, and strategic absence, that's what lasts. But there's a caveat. Your absence only creates tension if your presence created impact. You can't disappear if you were forgettable. You have to spark something before you pull away. That's why emotional contrast comes first. That's why selective attention matters. Every move builds on the one before it. When a woman starts wondering what you're doing, why you're not reaching out, if she did something wrong, that's when she's chasing. Not because you tricked her, but because she's craving what you gave her. Depth, challenge, presence, and now a void she wants to fill again. And the best part? She'll never admit it directly. She might act indifferent, but her behavior will betray her thoughts. Sudden texts, subtle likes on your stories, random check-ins. All because, psychologically, she's in pursuit. There's a point where attraction moves beyond interest, where it becomes fascination, obsession. That shift doesn't happen when you just look good or say the right things. It happens when she feels something deeper, something that challenges her internal framework. That's where the fifth psychological hack comes into play: identity mirroring with a twist. Most people mirror others unconsciously, matching tone, posture, or vocabulary. That's basic rapport building. But we're not here for basic. What creates real psychological pull is when a woman starts seeing parts of herself reflected in you, but elevated. You don't just agree with her opinions, you refine them. You don't just share common goals, you represent a more ambitious version of those goals. You become, in a subtle way, a mirror of her higher self. Not because you're pretending, but because you've done the inner work. You're grounded, you're expanding, and she feels that proximity to growth. This is seduction at the identity level. When she sees herself in your path, not because you fit into her life, but because your path inspires her to level up her own, she starts chasing without realizing it. Her attraction isn't just to your body or charm. It's to the version of her that emerges in your presence. It's powerful and rare. Most men make the mistake of trying to adapt to her world. They try to impress her by fitting in. But what works is standing out, not for being flashy, but for being centered, for knowing exactly who you are and where you're going. That clarity is magnetic. And when she sees herself walking beside that clarity, chasing becomes instinctual. Now, let's go even deeper. The sixth hack is about triggering the storytelling instinct. Every woman, whether she admits it or not, wants to live a story. A meaningful, passionate, dramatic, thrilling narrative. She wants to feel like what's happening between you two. matters, that it's part of something bigger than a casual exchange. The best seducers, from Casanova to modern-day naturals, all understood this. You have to become the story, the plot twist, the unexpected chapter in her life. So how do you do that? You create moments that break the script of her everyday routine. It could be as simple as a bold move, a sudden change in energy, a question that touches her soul. Something that makes her stop and say, "What just happened?" Let's say you're out together and everything's fun and light. Then, in the middle of it, you go silent for a few seconds, look her in the eye, and say something raw and real. Not cheesy, not forced. Something grounded but unexpected. Like, you have this energy. Like you're used to leading, but deep down you're craving someone who sees through that. Then you smile and change the subject. That single moment, it becomes a scene in her mind, a memory loop. Because it broke the pattern. It felt cinematic. And her brain, trained by every romantic film and personal fantasy, begins to write the story around you. When you consistently create these narrative spikes, emotionally charged beats that feel unique, you condition her to anticipate the next one. And that anticipation is where the chase begins. She's no longer just enjoying your company. She's wondering what the next chapter will feel like, what surprise you'll bring next, what truth you'll reveal, what moment will make her feel alive again. You don't need to do this all the time. In fact, doing it too often kills the effect. It's the contrast again, the normal followed by the unforgettable, the pattern broken by impact. That's what makes you unforgettable, and that's what keeps her coming back. Some men believe the game ends when she shows interest, that once she's flirting back, replying fast, or even suggesting plans, it's done. But that's the moment most guys start to lose power, because they switch into validation mode. They become reactive, and the frame shifts, again. But what if you could make her feel that she has something to prove to you? That's what the 7th psychological hack is about, the frame of qualification. You reverse the dynamic. You become the man she wants to impress, the man whose standards matter. And the beauty of this move is that it's not aggressive, it's not cocky, it's effortless when your identity is strong. You ask questions that signal depth, not superficial stuff like, "What do you do for fun?" Instead, you ask, "What's something most people get completely wrong about you?" Or, "When was the last time you truly felt proud of yourself?" These aren't tests, they're doors. But doors that only open if she's willing to step up. Now here's the trick. After she answers, you don't reward everything. You listen, you process, and if she says something impressive, you acknowledge it, genuinely. If not, you don't pretend. You hold your standard. This does two things. First, it shows you have criteria. You're not just there for her beauty or attention, you're selective. And second, it activates something primal, the need to win approval from someone of high value. When you subtly position yourself as a man with options, values, and standards, her subconscious kicks in. I want him to choose me. And once that dynamic is established, pursuit becomes natural. She leans in. She performs more. She becomes more open. Because your validation now has weight. And let's be clear. This only works if it's authentic. You must actually have values. You must know what kind of woman you respect, admire, desire. You can't fake selectivity. But if it's real, if your energy says, "I don't chase, I attract," she'll sense it. And she'll chase because it feels earned. Now, let's turn everything up a notch. The 8th hack is subtle, but lethal when mastered. It's the use of emotional anchoring through sensation. Most men connect with women through words, but words are easily forgotten. What the brain remembers most vividly are sensations, how she felt in your presence. So, your job is to tie your presence to unique emotional states. Specific, powerful, memorable. You do this through environment, voice, and timing. Let's say you're with her during a night drive. Windows down, the city lights in the background, a slow song playing. You say something personal, something intimate, just as a moment of silence hits. Her nervous system locks that in. The breeze, the music, your voice, all fused with the emotional beat. Now she's not just remembering you, she's remembering the experience of you. And every time something similar happens, a certain smell, a song, a vibe, her mind recalls you. That's anchoring, and it's powerful. You can also do it with touch, not in a rushed or needy way, but in moments of deep presence. A pause, a glance, a light touch on the back of her arm while you're laughing about something only you two would understand. That physical contact, paired with an emotional moment, becomes a memory trigger. Days later, she could be in her room scrolling her phone, and suddenly, a random memory of your voice, your laugh, your look, floods her mind. That's when she starts to miss you without knowing why. That's when she starts chasing not just the man, but the feeling you gave her. Because the truth is, women don't chase logic, they chase feelings. And if you know how to create, deepen, and anchor those feelings in her nervous system, you don't have to do much more. She'll want more of that, more of you. The final psychological trigger that makes a woman chase you isn't something you do to her. It's something you embody so deeply that she feels it without you needing to say a word. It's what I call non-attachment energy. Most men don't get this. They either attach too soon, clinging to outcomes, overanalyzing texts, or getting emotionally shaken when she pulls back. Or they fake disinterest, pretending they don't care, while dying for her attention underneath. But the man who truly captivates a woman, the one who lives rent-free in her mind, is the one who can want her without needing her, who can be fully present, fully engaged, deeply connected, and yet completely centered in himself. That kind of energy is intoxicating because she senses it. She knows you're not trying to trap her. You're not trying to impress her. You're not doing anything for approval. You're simply there, solid, grounded, clear in who you are and where you're going. And that's rare. When a woman feels that you could walk away at any time, not out of ego, not to punish her, but because you are whole on your own, her instincts kick in. She wants to secure you, keep you, win your attention again and again. Not because you forced it, but because you made her feel something few men ever do. And that's when the chase becomes real. That's when she starts investing, thinking about you, talking about you, craving your presence even when she's surrounded by other options. Because you didn't chase, you activated something deeper. So here's what I want you to take from all this. Every single one of these psychological hacks is powerful on its own, but when you combine them, strategic ambiguity, selective attention, emotional contrast, the power of absence, identity-level mirroring, story creation, qualification, sensation anchoring, and non-attachment energy. You're not just another guy trying to win her over. You become the man she can't stop thinking about. And if you felt this resonated, if you're tired of being the one always chasing, always proving, always wondering what went wrong, this is your moment to flip the script, to take back the frame, to become the one who attracts effortlessly, because you understand how the game truly works beneath the surface. If this gave you clarity, dropped some fire on you, or opened your eyes to how powerful your presence can really be, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below with the hack that hit you the hardest. Share your experience, your thoughts, or even what you plan to try next time you're in front of a woman who lights your fire. And if you want more content like this, deeper, rawer, more real, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because the next one might just change the way you see yourself as a man forever. Let's reach more men who are ready to rise. Let's change the game together. Your transformation begins the moment you stop chasing and start becoming.